The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big grey-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea, at the ships in the dock. As she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wiggle, sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. The humpback whale, immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out for the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." This is the sea so wild and free that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and far-off lands, with fiery mountains and golden sands. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that found and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves, where stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam around the whale and the snail on his tail. This is the sky so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. Today we are going to be focusing on this image. As you can see, there is a great humpback whale in the stormy sea, and sitting on his tail is the tiny snail. Now today we want you to get into the character of the snail. We want you to pretend that you are the little snail sitting on the big whale's wide pointy tail. Now you need to think about how you feel, what you can see, what you can smell, and also what you can hear. Now there is a clip for you to listen to, and it is a thunderstorm, and you need to get into the position of the snail, and I want you to really imagine that you are there. For the second part of the lesson, I want you to think of as many adjectives as you can to describe how the snail is feeling. We're going to be thinking about what might be going through the snail's mind as he sits there in this tremendous storm. So first, please get a pen and paper, or you can type it onto your computer, and I want you to come up with at least 4 adjectives to describe the snail's feelings. Once you have done that, you need to click onto the template of the thought bubble, and I want you to write a sentence to describe how the snail is feeling. Now, remember, it is a thought bubble, so you are the snail. So you are going to be writing in the first person. For example, I am feeling fearful because I have never been in a thunderstorm before. Did you notice I also used a conjunction? I used a conjunction because, and I use that to extend my sentence and make it more interesting. I'm really looking forward to reading your thought bubble sentences. Okay, off you go.